Hello, buddy. It is the me, Game Penguin 21, and today, oh boy, looks like it's time to do probably a more fun video this time. I'm not gonna really do my whole news segment and stuff, and it appears that nothing really is ending up happening this month, apart from maybe a couple of things, maybe mainly Battlefield releasing. But I think I'm gonna wait a bit and kind of age those salty tears like a fine wine. Don't worry, there's a few things out there, but I'm gonna just wait a bit for it. Overall, the Battlefield beta has been pretty good, or the Battlefield stuff has been pretty good. It absolutely buried the top thing of Call of Duty, so in all honesty, good for Battlefield, good for everyone else. But today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different thing, and this is something I've been kind of sitting on for a few years at this point, and that is mainly that Delusional Takes is a Twitter handle that I kind of understand and know about, and have seen scrolling through my feed every now and again, and sometimes there are some really interesting and really fun stories that I end up just deciding to screenshot just to really talk about. So this is going to be just a bunch of random stuff, but all from more or less from the Delusional Takes Twitter thing, and I just wanted to talk about it because, quite honestly, some of these are really weird. I did have to do a lot of nitpicking for some of these because some of these are more general politics and things like that, but I tried to keep it mostly to gaming. There's probably a couple things in there. Obviously, I had to get PETA in there. If you know who PETA is, congratulations, but overall, strap in. We're going to be doing a little bit of a weird shotgun thing before we, get into a bust of this. But of course, before we continue with this, I do stream every Sunday at 12 p.m. EST, but for this month and this month alone, I am doing 2 streams a week. That is Sundays and Thursdays, for a bunch of the spooky season stuff. And I'm going to be posting a lot of the clips over the course of this month, so feel free to come by and say hi, probably around the same time of 12 p.m. EST to 1 p.m. EST. Check your local times and make sure you convert correctly. And of course, check out my music and stuff. Links down to everything. Links down to the Bandcamp in the description, as well as my second channel, which is where I post more unedited clips of me doing random bullshit. With all that being said, let's get started. Of course, starting off with the most interesting way to do this: Fox News. Yeah, we're starting off strong with this one. I don't know if anyone really remembers this, but Fox News posted a weird thing, or a weird article at some point, apparently in 2023 or something. I don't really know. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But, where the Red Cross urges gamers to obey the laws of war while playing first-person shooters. Even wars have rules. Ah, yes. The Red Cross, where, they say that you shouldn't go against the Geneva Conventions as a civilian playing an entertainment medium of war. Does that also mean that these same sorts of people should do the same thing when filming? Like, they shouldn't use specific weapons or things like that when filming, even if they want to be historically accurate, because historically the Geneva Conventions have kind of been broken by everyone and their mother at this point, so I don't know, just seems kind of weird. It's really funny. Next up for Delusional Takes, we have I'd be cheating left and right if I had to deal with a man that has depression. Where yo man at? He is at the house having one of those mental breakdowns. Jesus. What I find really stupid is that this was posted in 2022, and it somehow has gotten worse than this. Somehow much, much, much worse, because a lot of people in the dating scene are just at least for females, have these stupidly high standards, and then say that, oh, men have some stupidly high standards too. And I believe that there is people out there that have stupidly high standards for both men and women. It's not just a gender-specific thing. But at the same time, there's a reason why guys are looking more and more appealing every day. Just saying. Anyway, next up for this, we have one from Dexterto with more or less just Kai Cenat not knowing or understanding why people watched PewDiePie, which, again, if you know who Kai Cenat is, he's one of the bigger streamers out there who plays a lot of video games and has the most epic, very just bombastic reactions to things, and then doesn't understand how people can like PewDiePie. I don't know. For me, for someone who likes PewDiePie, who had watched him growing up, there's a reason why he became so popular. He just happened to get good at his very particular set of skills and ended up doing some really good stuff. And he ended up retiring, being one of, like, I think the first YouTubers to actually retire from YouTube. I don't actually know. There was a few more that did also try to retire as well. I think Ray William Johnson did it, but then he came back, and most of the other ones did. Regardless of this, I don't like some of the commentary people out there, and I don't know every one of the commentary people out there, and I can't stand some of the commentary people out there, so I get where he's coming from. It's just a very weird thing. Next up here, we have the mini Pixar Renaissance with Soul, Onward, Luca, and Turning Red. I think of the four, Turning Red was my personal favorite, not just because, like, you know, it's just a good movie in general and has some good, like, storytelling and good animation stuff. The other three are kind of middling of the road, but they're not the worst that Pixar has actually done. That's most definitely true. But they just didn't seem to have the same sort of oomph as Turning Red did. Maybe that's just because it didn't relate to it, and maybe that's also the same thing with a bunch of these. But I mean, he's not entirely wrong. I would say that some of these are like good movies. Again, solid 6 or 7 out of 10s. Like if they were on at a party, I would definitely sit down and maybe watch them a bit. For Turning Red, that's like, I'm getting out the popcorn, I'm getting everything out. So that one's a solid 8. But the rest of these are okay. Not something that I would actively go out to seek, but that's neither here nor there. Next up here, we have PETA saying, your Super Bowl snack cost her life. Saying, I need my wings, you don't, for a chicken. Jesus. I find this really funny because if you know a chicken is a flightless bird. They cannot use their wings. They're probably used for like other reasons for something, but at the same time, a chicken can't fly, and they don't actually need their wings to fly, or they don't need their wings as much as other birds, but they still do because it's part of their like circulatory system, and they will probably die without their wings for sure. But again, I just find it really funny how, like, the implication is that they need their wings for some reason. I don't know. Next up here, we have this person who is basically talking about Batman going out and, like, destroying and, like, killing characters is a thing that should happen, where someone who doesn't understand what Batman is kind of says Batman funnels his wealth into beating the poor and the mentally ill people to the edge of death. They're also doing acts of terrorism. I'm gonna be honest, if you look at a lot of the villains in Batman's like repertoire, or Batman's like menagerie character thing, the villains that surround him, a lot of them do things like literal terrorist attacks and stuff. There's one that uses like gas that creates fear, like the Joker uses a gas that basically distorts your face and makes you laugh to yourself to death by closing off your vocal cords and being unallowed to like breathe at all. Like literal acts of like actual terrorism and stuff. Jesus Christ, man. But anyway. Next up here, we have Lucas with every time I see this image, I have to remind people that who isn't aware that this was traced from a Mother 3 fan art. I call him Tumblr Claus, where this person basically traced this artwork and then basically made this very weird meme, which I'm gonna be honest, yeah, the generation that, at least where this meme kind of originated was the first to be raised online, and this just shows like all of the quote-unquote virtuous of all of these, which is really interesting and funny because several of these have literally been abandoned and have been completely and utterly changed since this meme's inception, which I find really hilarious. Just to point out a couple of these, Tumblr completely died out because of the whole thing that it had. Blogger, I don't even know when this was around for any reason. DeviantArt is now absolutely flooded with a bunch of AI. Etsy is kind of where your grandma goes to sell stuff, and Twitter taught you to listen. I want to die. Anyway, moving on to more of a shitpost gateway here to kind of give a little bit of levity before we continue with this. There is British people should not be allowed to translate manga, light novels, visual novels. This is a travesty. Saying, a git like him, I absolutely don't fancy him one bit. Yeah, I don't fancy him, right? And I mean, it's funny, it's interesting and stuff like that, and it's the weird, like, slang terms, I guess. But this just kind of shows how weird the translation has been since the long time since this probably has been found here. I'm not sure, again, where this was posted or when this was posted, because they don't show it. But I just find it really funny how people had a little bit of a problem with translations, and localizations, even back during the time when probably this meme was happening. So, very interesting to note here. Now, this person was basically talking about how the Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition was like $3.99 on Steam. Very good. If it goes on sale again, definitely buy it. Fallout New Vegas is a fun game. And they said, we will never understand the stereotype that LGBTQ plus people like games that glorify fascism. First of all, how the fuck does Fallout New Vegas glorify fascism? I mean, unless you're talking about maybe Caesar's Legion, which actually does more of, like, a republic in some cases, where there's still, like, a person in charge and they make decisions more as a collective, I think. Or, like, the NCR, which is more of a, I guess, kind of a guarded state. I don't know if it's a military state or not, I can't really tell. But, like, I don't know. And at this point, like, people need to understand that they still wanted freedom. They still want another thing. And this takes place in America. Like, how the fuck? It's so weird. I don't know. It's real weird, really makes no sense, and I don't know if Fallout New Vegas actually glorifies fascism, because again, it glorifies American values, but whatever. Of course, we have the good old PETA here with hold men accountable. They may be a solution to climate change. This may be the solution to climate change catastrophe. Talking about how it's time to put a strike on sex with mate-eating men. Oh, PETA. Oh, PETA. Never change. You just provide endless amounts of stupidity and entertainment to people's lives. And quite honestly, fucking hilarious. Absolutely fucking hilarious. Anyway. Next up here, we have setting up the Christmas tree, but it's made out of deer antlers, saying that no animals were harmed in the making of this. He said that and then someone says he had the audacity to say no animals were harmed, as if the antlers just fell out painlessly. You don't understand how deer antlers work. They don't just grow indefinitely. There is definitely, a lot of deer that tend to have, I think, what's called, like, cribbing or something. I don't remember the specific. But in order to even get, like, the point of it, that's just the bone, and it grows over, like, a layer of skin, which then falls off, I think, during the winter time or something. And then, like, it falls off during at least either winter or spring. Unsure, I don't remember, but they grow and they regrow a bunch of these deer antlers and stuff, and it's really cool. Also, just to point out, this is a lot of deer antlers. I don't know where he got all of them, but that's quite interesting. Next up here, we have Nick with this guy wanting to believe that Assassin's Creed Shadows is disrespectful to Japanese people. Ah, yes. This guy right here, which was used as, like, one of the things of a guy in a Yakata, which, yeah, that is, like, Yakata. Where they basically said, oh, he thinks that Japanese people are disrespected by this. Ah, yes, that's why they literally, in the, I think, governmental bodies, was investigating, I think it was Ubisoft, for the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows, calling it, like, absolutely ridiculous and stupid and dumb. I don't know where that case ever went to, but it's happened, and they basically said, we're offended by this, from the officials of the government in the, it's just really weird. It's really weird. Next up here with Stupid Tech Takes, which is a slightly different one, saying, why did this happen with Apple, Android, and Linux, which I find really funny because this has now kind of just flipped on its head. Where Android itself is still kind of middling of the road. Linux has improved tremendously ever since this meme was posted, and Apple has now since been absolutely fucking garbage for a long-ass fucking time. And it's kind of ridiculous how this meme, I think even at the time when it was posted, was probably still even a bit wrong. So, It's real weird how that kind of happens. It's almost like tech itself can overcome obstacles through time and effort. Next up here from Delusional Takes with education works when all the parts are working together with students, teachers, and parents. Now, I want you to look at this. I want you to absorb the actual cogs and the gears and stuff, right? Right? You see that? To anyone who is a mechanical engineer, you know that this doesn't fucking work, because once you start turning one wants to spin one way, the other one wants to spin another way, and they both kind of clash in a lot of ways. So this mechanic won't technically work. I think there might be a way to make it work, but the interlocking teeth of a lot of those don't seem to make it, like, function, if that makes sense. It's real weird, and I am unsure as to how to fix this, so I don't know. But you tell me in the comment section below, does this cog wheel actually work, or does it not? So, yeah. Next up here, we have a person with the notch going into the memes about, like, how trans people need to go and how Minecraft Creator is not available due to online conduct from the 10th anniversary, and they made one of the best things in the game, where the genuine question of how did Notch become a billionaire off voxel engine that you can make in 5 seconds? Why did Microsoft waste that much money on him? Gee, I don't know, maybe because of the 10th anniversary of Minecraft and how it's still fucking popular even to today, and became one of the top selling games of all time, by the way, and has been around for, what, again, I think 12, maybe even almost 15 years now since it was created. That math is wrong. But it's been around for a fucking long amount of time, so yeah. People are going to be questioning why that is. And also, again, Notch fell from grace in a lot of ways. I remember when Notch used to be heralded as a really kind of good guy, but then he kind of went off the deep end for whatever reason and ended up just kind of, you know, destroying a thing. Speaking of destroying things with their own worldviews for whatever reason, we have someone playing Hogwarts Legacy. This was back during the Hogwarts Legacy type thing where Pipkin, Pia, I believe that's how you pronounce that, where he basically was going to do a Hogwarts stream, and she kind of hated Hogwarts, but she just did it just because she wanted to troll on the haters. If you know, you know, but that's how the whole thing here. Saying, I hate people on Twitter more, Lamau, burp, you are literally supporting the of trans friends. What the fuck? Now, here's the thing, just because you play a video game that probably has very little connection only through, like, IP to someone that you don't really like who actually may have had really terrible worldviews is kind of a little bit stupid. And again, that's coming from a guy who likes Cthulhu mythos and anything Cthulhu. If you've read Cthulhu, or you read any of the Cthulhu mythos, or you know anything about H.P. Lovecraft, or even his cat, by the way, kind of, you can see why people making that connection are a little bit tentative. I do wonder, though, like, she is actively doing it, so maybe there's just, like, a time and a place for it, and after a while it just kind of, like, morphs into something different. But can't you just enjoy something that might have some not-so-great worldviews, but just kind of ignore them a little bit, and just be happy for people to have fun with a game that they kind of maybe sort of enjoy? Again, I'm not saying that Hogwarts Legacy is a good game. I refuse to buy it for other reasons, just because it didn't, like, appeal to me at all and just doesn't look like my kind of game. I prefer FPSs, so there's that. But again, it's real weird here. I do want to know at least the contract of if she even gets a cut of any of the things, or was it just like a one-time licensing deal? They might have somehow did that, but it's still getting, like, support, so it at least has something, I guess. Next up, we're going to go into some of the crazier territory, talking about how family is a terrible way to satisfy our desire for love and care, according to the writer and academic Sophia Lewis. The solution: abolish it. Talking about how they need to abolish the concept of family. Ah, yes, the concept of family. Or the concept of, you know, a thing that is supposed to give you the love and attention. Supposed to, I should say. Not all families are created equal, and there are definitely people out there who, they have pretty bad households, and they probably should leave them whenever they get the chance to. But to be quite fucking honest here, dude, most of the time, it's fine. And again, you want to be like the people who are like fish, where they immediately abandon all of their young for whatever reason, or turtles, where they literally plant their eggs on the beach, but then at the same time they let the babies fend for themselves in the wild. Like, that's not really how a lot of the species tends to, you know, propagate like people do. But, you know, whatever. Next up here, we have Fratanga making a strange appearance with the guess which game developer will finish their game, and it turned out good. I'm not sure if he ever deleted this tweet. I don't think that he did. But this is talking about how the Bethesda devs actually released Starfield at the time, and Grums, who has been working on his game for like a fuck ton of hours, if you know anything about Grums, you know that he's a fucking weirdo sometimes. But he hasn't released his game, despite the fact that he's been apparently working on it for fucking years and, you know, hasn't even made any progress. And the progress that he has made is literally just him slapping a bunch of assets together. So, I don't know. Doesn't seem that delusional to me, but maybe that's just because I missed the forest and trees in some non-context. And maybe it's also because I like Rotanga, but neither of those have anything to do with what he just said. And he just spoke absolute facts about Grums never releasing his fucking game ever. So, next up here, we have what I am assuming is a meme or some sort of break bait with make 2024 the final year and abolish time. Basically, this person goes on a whole long rant about, like, hey, time makes possible, every clock is a cop, every call for the complete abolish of time itself, blah, blah, blah. No more dead time, only party time. I find it really funny because that last line kind of contradicts everything that was basically said in that thing where the concept of time itself, you know, basically saying like, oh, things have happened. It's like the concept of time is different from what's actually happening because, you know, while there is a quote unquote concept of time, there is a passage of time and you can't really stop it, as it were. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. It's real weird and really kind of fucking stupid. Speaking of really fucking stupid takes that just seem to be out there, we have Sneeko with GTA 6 is Zionist propaganda. How? Like, this was one of the few times where I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, like, how the fuck can you even come to that conclusion? Like, it makes no sense either in context or even out of context. Like, giving more context to this is just real weird, and I don't even know where this comes from, but god damn it. Sneeko is one of those people that has a lot of those just really out there takes, much like a few other people that I know, including some of the other big streamers and someone who has kind of been going through a little bit of a PR scandal because of people finding things like remotes and specific collars that might do things to harm specific animals, and how that animal may or may not have been a live prop for this person's live stream. Not saying who. We're moving on. Next up here, we have Grum saying that he can fix Destiny and make it less gay and lame. And Ash Loves You basically coming in here with Bungie made its bread and butter with zero hot chicks. Their games were best when they weren't sexual at all. First of all, Cortana. All right? That's just completely dissuades your entire argument, because Cortana was made in the whole thing and was actually made to be pretty hot if you know who Cortana is in the Halo franchise, which is something that Bungie originally worked on. But I also find it really funny how he says stick a hot chick in it and make it less gay and lame. I mean, no, there are fundamental problems with the gameplay of Destiny, so both of these people have the most delusional takes in the world, and of course we get to dunk on Grums again before the end of this video, so good on everyone all around there. Next up here, we have Carl with at a certain age, one must rid himself of childish things, throw away the toys, children's books, video games, and embrace adulthood. Get real hobbies, read real books, do something worth remembering, stop playing Warhammer video games, and grow up. I find it interesting how this guy is like, do something worthwhile with your life. It's like, okay, you're sitting there preaching to people, saying, you know, stop doing this. How is it more childish that we're just enjoying a hobby that is kind of meant to pass the time? And a hobby is that in some cases can actually pay people's bills, by the way. You can paint Warhammer figures for people. You can now play video games and stream them for a living if you really wanted to. Get real hobbies like what? Like, you don't mention that. Warhammer video games and all that other stuff is actually real hobbies. Reading real books, what classifies as real books. I mean, I like to read Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Warriors sometimes, but like, you don't see me being like, oh, those books are for children and they're not really good. Or, you know, what about the fucking Magic Tree House? Like, that was my favorite book series growing up. And they're now making a graphic novel, which I'm like, please give me the entirety of that graphic novel and let me pre-order all the books that you're going to be releasing, because that series is the fucking bomb. But whatever, you know, who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Why do I have to suffer for it? But in any case, moving on here, we have name a character that went through more pain than her. I'll wait. And I believe this is supposed to be Ellie from the Last of Us series in video games itself, saying like, oh yeah, she went through a bunch of like pain and suffering and stuff. Oh no, lest we forget about, I don't know, that one girl from the Telltale Walking Dead series who literally watched and found her parents dead, was kidnapped by a person who thought was their parents. They kidnapped her to like kill them or something, and it was all really weird, and then had to kill her surrogate father figure for whatever reason, because god damn it, like, how is that not worse than what Ellie had to do, which was like sit there and watch as they got a good old Jolan 1. But, I mean, that's besides the point, obviously. There's clearly more, like, tragic backstories to her, that she has a lot of things to go through. Oh, no! It's not like there are other people out there who have lost somehow more and doomed more planets to the, like, degree of death and destruction, and actually had, like, meaningful relationships with people. No. You can tell I'm being sarcastic because I'm just leaning into the microphone really closely to try to get everyone understanding that I'm being sarcastic. Anyway, we're moving on. Next up here, we have a person with saying, if you actually like when movies do this, you can kiss my ass. Where basically this person doesn't like what's essentially the like the journey of the protagonist or the adventurer's journey, where they start off like at a normal and very like an okay place in their life and they love it and they're cool, but then they come back and they have a complete like character shift because of this whole like arc that they have and go through. So you're telling me you don't like any story that literally exists ever? Like, dude, come the fuck on. This is literally every fucking story in the goddamn world. Next up here, we have for more delusional takes, talking about how Helldivers 2 and how they can't take the game seriously, thinking that it's a reflection of the moral worldview, because it's basically like the most parody-inducing game to ever exist, even in just the marketing material. I haven't personally played it. I'd like to, but money problems, obviously. But Brisket Enjoyer here with, honestly, sometimes I struggle to start playing it since you basically play as colonizers, and that doesn't feel right when I have a Palestinian friend. Now, first of all, why are you even thinking about that when playing a fictional game, right? It's one of those things where it feels like people, when they make these sorts of arguments, are like shifting the blame, being like, oh, well, why don't you care about this other thing that's, you know, in the world that's actually affecting people? Like, Helldivers 2 does not affect people in that way, and no one's gonna like think or adjust their thinking to that, because it's obviously and very clearly a parody, or at least it's supposed to be. It's not like someone who is literally sitting on their fucking ass torturing their supposed pets or thing like that to basically push their worldview onto something with an actual unironic twist of him being 100% serious and not in a like, oh, look at me, I'm being sarcastic way. No, this is a clear parody, which is very much the same thing as Starship Troopers, which this is kind of based on that, but not really. There was also a Starship Troopers game that kind of didn't do well, but it was, you know, fine. But Helldivers 2 is clearly meant to be like an over-the-top parody of, I think, just imperialism or just values like this in general. Well, it's very confusing to me. But moving on, we have Darius Fears with Microsoft buying Valve for $16 billion would be great for gaming, no matter if you like it or not, which this has only aged somehow worse given the fact that Microsoft has increased all of their prices recently to like really kind of stupid reasons, like increasing the things like Xbox Game Pass and all of their hardware and a lot of their games, or at least they attempted to, and then they walked that decision back. They're in like such a worse position off than even when this tweet was made, which this tweet I think was made like a while back when people were thinking about like Steam and Xbox kind of coexisting together. Like, they can coexist, but Microsoft doesn't need to at all like buy Steam and in order to quote unquote make Steam good, because Steam is already good. If Microsoft bought Steam, Steam would be in a far worse spot, and gaming as a whole would probably be going into another crash if it weren't for some of the people who are actually fighting to try to keep game more creative and more interesting to the other people. Also, AI garbage, so your opinion is fucking dog shit. Next up here, we have another one with Rolling Stone saying a furry fandom con in Florida just announced it would ban minors based on the governor's ridiculous laws. Which, again, I don't know why this is on Delusional Takes here, because that just seems like an okay thing to do. I mean, they're well within their right to ban whoever the fuck they want to if they run their own events and things like that. And if they don't want to, you know, have those people in there, like that's okay. Saying like, oh, it would ban minors because of ridiculous laws, like, I guess. What's the other alternative? To ban the other people where they have to screen most of the other people saying that they're not going to do anything sexual or whatnot, which, again, yeah, that's another way to do it, but that would require like a lot more paperwork and a lot more other things to do rather than just like banning the other thing. Now, I'm not defending this, and the more that I think about it now that I'm like sitting down to like read this whatever the fuck article here, I'm not actually reading it, just rereading the title, is like, I guess I can see where some people would say that this is like bullshit because like it's very delusional. I think that you can ban people from that, but at the same time, like the whole mixing of people who are under 18 and people who are over 18 have always been like at odds with one another, and for very good reason. Obviously, people want to protect kids, and if this is the way that they said, like, oh yeah, we should just protect the kids by not allowing them to be in this space where, you know, we could get the entire con or whatever or anything, like, in people absolutely shut down, then yeah, I guess that's a good way to do that. But, I mean, again, it's more of a Band-Aid solution than anything else. Anyway, next up we have one more dunk on good old PETA with a very weird take of drinking cow's milk is just as weird as drinking your neighbor's breast milk. What? Like, here's the thing. How is it that you can find breast milk in the actual, like, stores and stuff? And doesn't, like, regular milk have certain things about it and whatever? Like, yeah, saying that, like, it's just as weird as drinking your neighbor's breast milk. What, I'm not, like, going over to my neighbor and fucking suckling on the teat or whatnot. Like, like, how is it more weird to just buy milk from the store and bring it home than to go over to your neighbor and, like, ask for their breast milk? Which, like, I don't get it. It makes very little, if any, sense here. So, I don't know. Very strange. We're going to move on here. Next up here, we have Dr. Hans with another just very out there take of, do gaming addicts deserve prison? It's very possible. Video games are the reason for many social ills. Eventually will come to the time of cruel awakening by holy man wield hammers to burst into homes, smashing gaming PCs and Nintendo consoles. Even GameCube will not be smashed. First of all, shut the fuck up, boomer. Second of all, shut the fuck up, priest, and take your medication. And third of all, dude, Dr. Hans, you just, like, don't understand anything. I mean, the one thing that was, like, at least somewhat righteous in terms of the women's suffrage movement is it makes me think of that one weird grandma that would go, I think it was during the Prohibition, and basically just wreck house with wherever the fuck the bars were. So it's really weird. But it's almost like when that happened, like there was an overcorrection, and then they somehow found a way to meet back into the middle because there was that overcorrection, and then somehow people were like, maybe we should just like not overly corrected this badly because overcorrecting it actually exorbitant and exponentially increased the problems that were there before. And it's like, you know, there were some good reforms, but maybe don't just like extremely go in the one direction, thinking that that's the only cause to try to fix the issue, when there will, of course, be an extreme pushback, and you probably should meet more somewhere in the middle. Just kind of a little food for thought there. finally, on this whole Delusional Takes kind of mega episode that I've been sitting on for quite a while. One of the more recent things where the basically says with Kev with the Steam Deck is better Switch than the Switch. Even better than the Switch 2 in my personal opinion, but that's just my personal opinion, where someone says, listen, y'all, if you can notice the difference between 30 and 60 FPS, you gotta go outside. I'm not even kidding. Yes, because the difference between 30 and 60 FPS is nearly just double the amount of frames that exist there. It's almost like the image looks a little bit more smoother and can be processed at a very significant speed or something like that. It's almost as if, right, it's double the same thing as normal. And that's why it's actually better for, like, some smoother gameplay here. And saying that you need to go and touch grass because you can tell the difference, I mean, some people can. I know that for me personally, whenever I was playing at 30 FPS for like my computer or my on my Xbox back in the day, I would somehow after like several hours have my eyes fucking stinging and hurting for whatever reason because the game just, I guess, looked bad. I don't even know why my eyes were singing at that point, but it probably had to do with the frame rate. But I'm not going to chalk it up completely to that. I did play a lot of video games back in the day, so, yeah, maybe it was just eye strain in general. But anyway, that was the last screenshot that I actually had for this one, and by God, did this one take a while. But for all intents and purposes, this is going to be an extra long episode, mainly because, well, I'm not going to be releasing a second episode this week because I don't want to release, like, an episode of me yelling into my microphone and then, like, you know, having to do a live stream immediately after that. So, you know, kind of going a bit to the algorithm here. In any case, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Ran Into a Microphone about a bunch of weird topics that I just so happen to have taped up over the years, and basically want to spread it out over the internet because delusional takes are fun to laugh at. With all that being said, if you like what it is I do and want to support me in any other way, shape, or form, links down in everything in the description below. I do stream every Tuesday and Thursday. Thursday only being this month, so I won't be streaming not Tuesday. I do stream every Sunday at 12 p.m. EST, and for this month, again, alone, in the month of October, make sure you check your calendars. I will be doing another Thursday live stream this week. So 2 live streams a week for the course of this month where we will be playing poopy games, we will be hanging out, talking some shit, talking over some stuff, and doing all that other real good things. With all that being said, again, my name is Campaign21, and a peace.
Can I get a favor?